Okay, so the first one is going to be the Vastus Intermedius. Now, this muscle we kind of forget about because it lies deep to the Rectus Femoris. And approximately this area here, this would be the Vastus Intermedius. So it'd be mid-shaft of the anterior femur. And that would come all the way down to, we draw the patella. So the patella approximately here. And then your tendon would come into the superior portion of the patella. Okay, so on the medial side, as the name will indicate, this would be the Vastus Medialis. And that will also come into, and if you can imagine, it's going all the way around to the posterior femur, connecting to the linea aspera. Remember, the linea aspera is the large landmark posterior femur, and it continues on, it dives deep to the adductors and will continue all the way again to the posterior femur. And please understand, I'm doing a two-dimensional drawing on a three-dimensional canvas here, so. All right. And then on the lateral side, again, we have the Vastus Lateralis. And that one is, again, that one is the largest muscle of the body, pound for pound, the largest muscle, the Vastus Lateralis. Now, it lies deep to the iliotibial band, so the iliotibial band will lie over the Vastus Lateralis. And those fibers will again continue all the way to the posterior side. All right, and then you have the biarticulate muscle of the quadriceps, and that would be the Rectus Femoris. Now again, genus ASIS is here. This is the ASIS. It's the anterior inferior iliac spine. So the AIIS here. And it's going to come all the way down. And again, it lies superficial to the Vastus Intermedius. And the striations are going to be in this direction, coming down, and then this. So there is superficial, and the one you probably see the most, the Rectus Femoris, deep to that. The Vastus Intermedius, Vastus Medialis, Vastus Lateralis. Okay, so this specific stretch is for the Vastus Medialis and the Lateralis. Now you're getting some of the Rectus Femoris in there too, but again, understand it's a biarticulate muscle. In other words, it passes the hip joint and the knee joint. So for me to do a simple flexion, am I getting some of the Rectus Femoris? Yes, but not completely. So what I'm going to do here is I am stretching now the Vastus Medialis and Lateralis. So if I do a direct stretch straight Her heel is going towards her ischial tuberosity. I come out of this position. If I come over laterally, so now her heel is going to go to her greater trochanter, that's going to focus more on the vastus medialis. So stretch here, vastus medialis, bring it back to neutral position. So now bring your heel in towards the opposite glute. Now that's more vastus lateralis. And then, of course, all three of them here with the vastus intermedius, the rectus femoris, lateralis, medialis, all four of them are stretching here. To isolate, we will get Gina in a side lie position. A precaution that you want to be aware of here when you're coming out laterally. So again, if I'm focusing on the vastus medialis here and I'm coming out, I'm bringing the leg out laterally, the knee itself, the structure of the knee has to be pretty secure. If there's any knee issues, then you're putting a lot of torque on the knee, so be aware of that. Same thing if I go to the, bring her heel towards the opposite glute and focusing on the lateralis. Again, I'm going to put a lot of pressure on that knee, so you want to make sure that there's no issues. If there's any pain or discomfort with any of these stretches, you need to discontinue the stretch. Okay, now to stretch, isolate the rectus femoris and the vastus intermedius. We want the hip to be in a posterior tilt position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to instruct Gina to put her hand down around her opposite thigh here and just hold that. Now what I'm going to do is cradle her knee in my arm here, and I want to keep the leg horizontal. In other words, I don't want to be here or down too low. I want to be in this neutral positions, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to push at the hip. This is the fulcrum. So I'm going to push at the fulcrum. I'm going to keep the knee flex. That is stretching the rectus femoris and vastus intermedius, and we're getting some of the medialis and lateralis in this. So you feel that, Gina? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, if you can do this stretch, but if you're not pushing on the hip, you're putting a lot of pressure on the SI joint. So you want to do that reverse. So I'm pushing here and pulling with this hand. And this can be done, you can do a PNF stretch, you can do just a simple gravity stretch, or you can do it in active isolated stretching.